$240 million.
Stacking my coin, stacking my coin. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Stacking my coin, stacking my coin.
Oh yeah, it's your boy Crypto Blood. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go.
Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Since I was born, been stacking my coin. These niggas your girl is a dot. She all on my.
You know what time it is? Livest crypto stream in the game. Let's go.
I'm getting this money. It never get born.
Off the Chain episode 77. Let's get it, people. Like, share, and subscribe. Let's go, let's go.
About the dollars in it don't make sense. Got me sipping brown water, but it ain't from Flint. Trying to chase all this bread, though the shit won't last. About to shut the city down like a crypto crash. Stacking my coin, stacking my coin. Stacking my coin, stacking my coin.
Got two of my crypto homies joining us tonight. Trekk with 2Ks. That's my man. He's also on the channel. And we also got my man, Mind Your Biz. He's going to be joining us tonight. Make sure you guys go follow them. Link in the description below. Let's go, let's go.
Smoking on that crippy got me cliff high. Surfing through the city while them chips rise. Hot boy, do it big time. LMA with my summer bay, we booed up. Cali hit the bay, we.
Tonight we're going to be talking about Terra Luna. More news from them. Looks like some documents were uncovered showing that they actually dissolved the company a few days before the actual crash. They saw it coming, ladies and gentlemen. This was not a mistake. Let's get it, people.
No cat, nigga back.
Stacking my coin, stacking my coin. Stacking my coin, stacking my coin.
Also, Floyd Mayweather back in the crypto news. Another scandal, this time in NFT. Is he ever going to learn his lesson? I highly doubt it.
Stacking my coin. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash.
I'm old school, Beretta, eye on the sparrow. I told you, make moves, niggas.
Ethereum Merge coming up. Let's get a horn for that one. Let's go, let's go. I don't know. We'll see. Is it really going to happen? This may be a good play, though. A lot of people saying that this $1 billion, or should say $8.1 billion worth of Ethereum has been burned and should actually shrink the supply and make this coin much more valuable in the future. I want to know what you guys have to say about that, and we'll definitely get Mind Your Biz and Trekk to chime in on that. Let's go.
Stacking my coin, stacking my coin. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Bitcoin, Litecoin.
Hit that like button, people. Hit that like button.
Stacking my coin, stacking my coin, stacking my coin. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash.
And CZ, man, he's saying pour again. I don't like that tweet, to be honest with you. It's kind of a jab at the people that lost all their money. A lot of people lost life savings in this Terra Luna debacle, and he's tweeting out pour again. We know CZ ain't nowhere near poor. I'll get your feedback on that one. And also, China can't seem to ban the mining game, the industry over there in China. Can they ever do it? We'll have that discussion on tonight's episode of Off the Chain 77. Let's go.
Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Fucking thing sucks. We'll do it live. Okay.
This episode is brought to you by MEXC crypto trading platform. With the wild swings we're experiencing in these crypto markets, why not take advantage of the wide range of cryptos to actually trade on MEXC? Find your next moonshot and never miss another crypto gem again. And use the link below and I'll airdrop you $25 worth of Bitcoin. Visit MEXC.com for more information. Link in the description below. All right, people. We are live. Got two of my favorites in the building. I see we got Clark Crypto in the building. We got Griff. We've got Sam is in the building. Todd, thanks everyone for joining in. Shout out to all my Michiganders out there too. I see a couple of them in the chat room. What's going on, guys? How you doing? I'm going to call you ladies and gentlemen. You guys are all gentlemen, right? Oh, you guys are both muted. I don't know.
I think in 2022 you can just vote, right? You can just mark that checkbox, Trekk. I think that's the thing. So I identify as the universe.
Oh, okay. What do you identify as, Trekk?
Trekk was. I identify as Trekk. Whatever that actually is.
Yo, let's start over, ladies. I'm gonna run the whole intro back over, and we're gonna start this thing up. No, I'm just playing. Thanks, guys, for joining tonight. I don't have your links up on the screen, but definitely I have the links in there in the description of this video. So go follow Trekk. Go follow Mind Your Biz. They got good content. They're putting out great content. Trekk is on like 550 different channels on YouTube. He may be even on CNBC at some point. I don't know. This guy's on. He's everywhere. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, he's everywhere.
They're not gonna let me on there, bro.
They're not gonna let him on CNBC. Okay, Mind Your Biz, huh? Yeah, I know. Mind Your Biz does excellent content as well. So please go follow both of those guys. So, how you doing, Trekk? I haven't seen you in
like 2 hours.
2 hours, man. Trekk is preoccupied, so I'll go to Mind Your Biz. What's going on, Seth? How are you?
I'm doing great. I mean, coming to a stage near you, if near you is Austin, Texas.
There we go.
I'm excited about what's happening in early June.
Yeah, me too. I'll be down there. Trekk will be down there. Mind Your Biz will be in Austin. If you guys can make it, please come down and hang with us for sure. That's going to be great. Decentral, and we've got Consensus as well, back to back. So Clark said, I'm going to be there. That's what's up, Clark. We'll definitely have to, link up for sure. So tonight, as you guys maybe saw on the thumbnail there, Terra Luna dissolves company. This is information that came out allegedly. I might have to say that, I guess. I don't know if it's like fact.
I think that covers you, yeah.
Okay, that covers me. Allegedly. Terra Luna dissolved the company like 4 or 5 days. No, so they had a board meeting or shareholders meeting in April 30th. Seth? And decided to go ahead and dissolve?
Thank you for asking me. I was there, so let me tell you the eyewitness account. I have no idea, bro. I have no idea what day it happened, but April 30th sounds about right, roughly the timeline. But that's almost 10 days before things like really fell off, right? So
this is crazy because, for me, this now seems like a premeditated move. It's no longer all right. There's no longer all, some external, force or a group came in and exploited the situation. Yeah, they might have, but they saw that coming, meaning Luna, right?
Yeah.
And they jumped ship, man, and allowed the big shareholders to jump ship as well. So it's interesting to see. I wonder if, Mike Novogratz, everyone knows him. He was a big player in there. I wonder if he's acting like he lost a lot, but really didn't lose too much. What do you think, man? He's a big shareholder. I would consider Galaxy Digital a big shareholder in Terra Luna, right?
Yeah, it's a fair point, man. I mean, you figure if there are companies that are used to getting like a $25 million fine or an $80 million fine from the SEC and sloughing it off because they've got billions in profit, Mike's one of those guys that breathes rare air. So for him to get a tattoo of Luna, right, and I mean, if that's the cost of doing business, I can see it. That's a long way to go for a false flag, though. I think he's innocent enough, right? He's maybe a little bit, maybe a little regretful now, right? But I think he's probably innocent. I don't know who puts ink on like that with the intent to rug.
No, I don't think he had anything to do with it. But I'm wondering, though, Trekk, do you think so? Trekk is not up to speed just quite yet. Trekk, what happened was the Terra Luna team decided to dissolve the company.
All right.
And
so real quick, this is actually one of the joints I dropped in on the Matu Satoshi. I don't know if you got to that episode yet, but I had covered on this. It basically came out. I understand that it came out that some either local news agency in South Korea or something went through and found some documentation. as far as that point with Mike Novogratz, I'm gonna still stand by the same thing I said earlier. Dudes anybody who's in that whale category are in a very different operational environment than the regular folks like myself, like Mind Your Business, and like you. So them losing $1 million, 8 times out of 10, it wasn't even their money to begin with.
Facts. So yeah, it does look like Mind Your Biz. It was on April 30th during the shareholder meeting, according to the documents. So they dissolved or decided to go ahead with this on April 30th. When was the actual crash? I can't remember. I'm trying to put the timeline together. But I think it was, like you said, 10 days or so after that.
I think that was the full expression of the meltdown, right, of the death spiral. And I think the death spiral kind of started to become apparent. It might have been on the 5th. So I think we were looking at a couple of days into that death spiral that everybody knew. Like, I think it was the 8th for sure that everybody realized, oh, the gravity well is too heavy. Like, we're getting sucked into this death spiral. If you were a UST holder specifically, there was really no way out, no liquidity, no off ramps. Dexes, they had volume, but most people were aware that, hey, the more I do this, the more price impact I have, decreasing the likelihood that I can get out of the rest of my UST holdings. But yeah, between the 5th to the 8th is kind of, I think, when we saw that rapid acceleration into the death spiral. And by the 10th, it was like, we're done. And
so this is what I'm wondering, though, if it was accelerated by the insiders. It had to have been. That really probably started the DPEG to below maybe like 98 cent, right? Because it was at 98 cents for a bit, and that was probably the insiders getting out. That's crazy, man. This is going to be bad, because I know I interviewed a guy years ago. I think he was from South Korea, man. I believe so. But they go to jail for this type of stuff. Like any insider trading, they actually go to jail. He spent 10 years in jail for some insider trading stuff that occurred with his publicly traded company, I believe in South Korea. So I don't know, man. Trekk, what do you have to say?
So, okay, you remember when I was saying, I don't know if I said this to you directly, but I might have did it on the Twitter side. So, what was it? No, matter of fact, last weekend, there was like a couple of different articles that popped out talking about like CZ doesn't like Terra. The news about this court, the documentation stuff doesn't come out until X amount of days into the week. So I kind of imagine CZ had the awareness of what was going on and what he was doing, because like they're tied in financially. Because I seen another article that came out during the week saying that Binance had lost X amount of funds, and not like 10,000 or something. Like we talking like that 6-figure range and stuff, right? So I now look at it and go, oh, okay, this might have been why the article started popping out over last weekend, because it was in prep for, and it might have been, arguably, I'm throwing this out there as an argument, CZ distancing himself from what was about to come out, because he already knew what was going on in April. And it's like, listen, I'm not a fan of what he's doing. It's a stupid thing. He shouldn't do a fork, blah, 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 blah. Just saying.
But again, who are these big investors? Because Seth, I would think Binance would be I don't think they invested directly into the company. They only purchased $3 million worth of coins. And that was probably in exchange for the listing, right? That's usually how it goes, right, Seth?
Yeah. Well, for Binance, that's investment light, right? Like you're saying. I mean, for Binance to properly invest in a project like that, you would see you'd see a heavier buy-in. You'd be looking at 8-9 figures when there's such a high supply and market cap of a coin like that. But I mean, 3 million probably only listing. So there you go.
Yeah, Trekk, what were you gonna say?
No, I was agreeing in regards to that could have been just the listing side of it and not as heavy. What was the other thing? There was something else that I was gonna throw out, and it just slipped my mind right now.
Oh, all good. We can come back to that, right. Yeah, I think it's just interesting to see that this news comes out, and there was some premeditation there in regards to the corporate entity, and them pretty much saving themselves. I would have to assume that what's his name? Duquan Joe. I'm assuming he got out as well. Well, I mean, right? What do you think? Seth? Do you think he had a chance to get out as well?
I think probably. I mean, there's the high likelihood that that he did get high on his own supply. It's typical for a lot of crypto founders, right? But if you come from wealth in any other sector, and I threw that. That's just from CoinGecko. This is not like real-time data from like TradingView or like a really in-depth chart. But we were talking about dates, and I wanted to quickly show that we had the timeline there. If we scoop back in time just a little bit, we've got nearly. Let's just drag it a little farther back. We got that 30th of April before the death spiral.
Yeah.
That trading solidly at $1 for it was volume kicked off on the 7th to the 8th. So just quick visual on what we were discussing before. But yeah, I think with a lot of crypto founders, it's perfectly. It's acceptable and it's considered normal to get high on your own supply. If you don't own some significant stake in the coin, we're doubtful of that. We worry about that. There's the Charlie Lee problem of selling too much on your own. It's bad optics for a project. But if you have no exposure at all, people don't trust you. So I'm sure that he did get caught up with some of this death spiral. But I mean, he was a billionaire before he started here, right? Apparently, he was independently wealthy before he got started with Terra Labs. So is his net worth gone? No, I don't think so. I don't think he's hurting. I think he's gonna be just fine, and he's crying himself to sleep, right? By
wifeless as well, which may be a good thing, I don't know. I'll leave that up for the audience. Trekk.
I mean, bro, like, it's still X amount of the wild, wild west as far as like, I look at this whole thing and I feel like I have more of a conviction in what we see happening is people who are daring to believe of, let me try to come up with a new financial instrument that works in the bigger monetary environment, right? And for some people, they go really, really far. What is that? What is the thing called? When you fly too close to the sun? What's his name? What's the Greek story? I can't remember the Greek story name. But the point being is, like, this is what it is right now. Imagine it, like, this would have been 2019, and like the depegging would have happened then. It would have been probably like a bigger fallout. But then in 2-3 years, he'd have came back and be like, hey, I came up with a new idea, which arguably is the same shit he doing now. He came back with like, listen, I figured out what I did wrong in the first version of the code. I rebranded it, and I figured out how to do this thing as far as like the stablecoin through the algos. Here's what I'm trying.
Oh man, shout out to Northside. He said that's a tattoo teardrop.
Yo, okay, funny thing about the tattoo thing, that's what I wanted to say. So, you can get rid of tattoos nowadays, right?
It's painful. Like,
it's painful, but like, did Novograds really commit?
Hell yeah.
I mean, you can still go and get the tattoo removed, bruh. I'm just saying.
I don't know, man. I think he's got that upper sleeve, and I think the crypto community's not going to let him live it down. They're going to be like at trade shows, like, hey, let me see it, right? Like, show us. You got to see.
Oh no. It's not that we gonna let him live it down. It's that he can still just like, all right, I'm gonna either cover it over with something else, or I'm just gonna remove it completely. And for whoever tries to check him when they see him in public, arguably, it's community policing to be like, yo, was you really 10 toes down?
That's dedication, bro, to get a tat.
Yo, bro, look at
But that's also top of the market behavior right there. Right, Seth? That is top of the market behavior. When you see a billionaire hedge fund guy get a tattoo of one of his projects, it's over, man. See you guys in the next bull market. I'll see.
Right? Or the new paid group leader gets the tat. Like, any of these things is a top signal, like you're saying, Blood. I don't know. That's why I don't have any ink, right? Like, I'm afraid of ushering in the apocalypse.
Well, Trekk got all the ink clearly in the in the Twitter DM room. You're on the way to being baby from Cash Money. That's what they say.
Word. Funny, like, and I actually do want some more tattoos. That's a funny thing, but I'm not like, also, let me go get some crypto tattoos. Nah,
I don't have any crypto tattoos, and I made some life-changing money in crypto and thought about it many times. Like, damn, I should get a Bitcoin tattoo or something like that. I just couldn't pull myself because, dude, this stuff is not guaranteed to be here 30 years from now. Let's just be honest. This is so far so good.
Yeah, but okay. But on the flip side, most of the meanings of your tattoos are not relevant. Let's say in a 3 to 5 year period after you get them.
Oh, they most absolutely are. Every single one of them.
I'm just throwing out as a general.
Oh, oh, okay.
Some
I only
people
get
do put more thought into like if it's name or it's connected to a person or a moment or like something that changed your life.
Yeah, I've got Planck's constant tattooed on my arm. I hope that constant doesn't change. Probably not. There was someone up here that asked if this was USDT. No, we're talking about UST, which is Terra Luna's stablecoin. So I do though want to share. I don't know how many of you out there know how the whole Tether or stablecoin game, like the operation, how it all works. But whoa, okay, there we go. I saw this on.
There for you.
Well, no. So look, I saw this on Reddit, and there was a guy kind of explaining. He was breaking it down about how this whole Tether game goes, because there were people talking about Tether is next, or they're having issues, or something like that. And he basically said Tether is heavily entangled with many big exchanges. Tether gives them sweet deals on Tether loans, with which exchanges can buy Bitcoin, and exchanges in return make their users use Tether and also try to make sure Tethers are only traded for $1 USD. This is how USDT is pegged to the value of $1. And as long as the peg holds, nobody cares about the shady stuff Tether is doing. So I wasn't even fully aware. I don't know if you were, Seth. You said you had some conspiracy theories or facts maybe about the whole Tether situation. What's your take on that? Did you know that's part of their business model?
I didn't know that was part of their business model, other than, I mean, you realize that like 2016 moving into 2017, the run up, that bull run for Bitcoin, it was in large part thanks to Tether. Those of us in the space, we saw that clearly, right? So that's part of what has been fueling Bitcoin's, particularly like printing the most extreme ATHs in the recent 5 years or so. So I didn't know that was part of their business model for maintaining the peg. What I did know is that they've been trying to move away from some commercial paper holdings into more one-to-one cash backing, cash reserves. But Blood, the concern that I have is about the use of the term commercial paper. You can say commercial paper, and everybody says like, oh yeah, commercial paper. Blood, I'm going to ask you a direct, point-blank question here.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell is commercial paper?
Commercial paper is debt.
Sure, but what kind?
Like commercial debt.
But it's like debt not otherwise specified, right? It's that's kind of a catch-all term, right? So debt according to what? Is it, could it, and then hear me go out on a little limb here,
okay,
put on the tinfoil hat with me. Could it be that it is debt that is wrapped up in some of those loans, right? Like, could it possibly, in any possible way, be self-referential debt based on some of these partnerships? Because I suspect that's the case with USDC too, because we've heard recently that Coinbase is saying, "Oh yeah, by the way, in the event of any kind of a bankruptcy, right, we own our customers' crypto wallets, and that can be used as collateral for us to repay our debts." Well, could that be their part of what they're holding as commercial paper to back Circle crypto, USDC?
So crypto, Clark Crypto makes a good point. So USDT is moving into more quality commercial paper, they say, and he said also U.S. Treasuries. So we know, I mean, as much as we don't like or think that is a very sustainable system, the Treasury Department or Treasury market, we know if they're the last ones to fail. If the Treasury debt market of the United States fails, then it's over for everybody. pretty much, right?
Right.
So that's pretty safe. I don't know what the mixture is, but
right, we'll be trading only bullets and cans of spam at that point.
pretty much,
Maybe.
pretty much.
Right, beans will be a delicacy.
Exactly. And then I had another question from Voice Crypto, one of my YouTube members. He said, Blood, are you still scared of quantum computing? And Trekk's response, he's always scared of QC. I am. Seth, on the other hand, I think isn't. Am I correct?
Yeah, well, it's like being afraid of nukes. What are you going to do? The moment you're in the blast radius, it's painless. Really? Like, what are you going to do? Like, you can build a bomb shelter against certain things, but like quantum computing is one of those things that like you can't build a bomb shelter unless you're a fully analog life. So good luck with that. I'm not worried about it.
I will say this. So if we do see, quantum computers start hacking private keys on these different blockchains, they're probably going to go after. Basically what I'm saying is if they're cracking those, they're cracking our infrastructure, security infrastructure we have on the internet first. All the stuff that's being encrypted in the same manner, that's the same vulnerability, right? So you'll probably see them attack that before you see them attack the blockchain. There's more value there, correct?
Yeah, the TLS handshake that we all,
TLS
that all
handshake,
of our browsers
right.
here.
Right.
So that all of our browsers made to be able to do this live stream, they could just intercept it and it's full Black Mirror, right? They're broadcasting whatever, animal.
Yeah, I got you.
Animal prawn, right? Like all bets are off at that point. Like we don't know, but then banking keys get cracked and whatever. Any part of the critical infrastructure for nuclear power and the nuke codes themselves, anything that's touching the internet that isn't fully air gapped, that's all compromised too. I think we've got bigger problems than cryptocurrency. Yeah, to
XRP's Shield Billy. I like that name. Don't like the XRP part, but creative there, buddy. Creative. He said, yeah, if they can crack keys, they will be able to crack military communications. Exactly. Right. So that is, that would be the last thing on our list of priority or concerns. But I am concerned. I mean, we are accelerating in the computation speed and power of quantum computers, Seth. I know that's more down your lane. There are some encryption, and I'm not even acting like I'm a professional or expert in this field, but are there different encryption methods that there are some that are quantum resistant, right? No. There's a consortium that's being built right now that is working towards reliable quantum resistant cryptography. But we're not there yet. And I think that the groups that are trying to get that built, they're hoping that we have enough time to be able to create quantum resistant cryptography before quantum computing itself is a threat at scale. Because as it is right now, it's still technically a science experiment. It's getting there. It's getting big. But the previous milestone, like the benchmark of being able to hit a 100 qubit quantum computer, we hit that, right? That exists now. I mean, it happens to look like whatever, a computer system from like the 1940s where it's like fills a giant warehouse. It's not, it doesn't look threatening. Yeah, it doesn't look like Skynet yet. But once it looks like Skynet, it's too late, right? So you got to think about it in advance. So we're getting some of those task forces and consortiums put together now to hopefully put something in place. But we've got a few years timeline to get that kind of quantum resistant computing or cryptography in place, because we probably maybe have a few more years before quantum is a big threat at scale. Yeah, I'm with you on that. So Corey's been making some pretty good comments here. He says stablecoins are like playing musical chairs. When the music stops, your money may not be there. It's funny. I'm not concerned about like USDT or USDC. What about you guys? Are you concerned about either of those? C for sure not, because they are fully in the bed with the feds. Like the Alphabet Boys, pretty much they're in collusion. So I can't see that being an issue.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. I do have a concern about the way that both groups are talking. So they're playing fast and loose with their commercial paper holdings. Go ahead and find me a public-facing line item breakdown of what the quality is of those commercial paper holdings. I don't think you're going to find it. So that's my concern. And I get that. I see definitions coming into the chat, but the problem is that, Blood, you hit the nail on the head with the most broad definition, which is the only one they use. they're not telling us exactly what their holdings are.
This is true, and this could be '08 all over again, right? When you have companies holding tranches of debt where they thought it was AAA, and it's really like triple double D. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, but yeah, that's a good point. And you know, I didn't think about that. That could be, because honestly, if you think about it, Seth and Corey, listening, if you're still listening, holding Tether is almost like holding your funds in a money market account, right? It literally is holding your funds in a money market account. So yeah, that we had issues in '08. 09 with money market accounts. That was going to actually be the unraveling of everything. So yeah, that's didn't think about that. Corey also said crypto crashes. Go ahead.
Oh, just the commercial paper. Like, sure, the problem with the money market accounts moving into '08 was that there was so much toxic debt being held in mortgages. Blood and Trekk. We've been around since then. We're all adults here, right? Like, we saw what happened after that point when it was like, oh, you know what? Trying to get 100K plus into these loan vehicles. That's too much. That's going to put us on the radar, right, of the 3-letter agencies. But maybe we could get away with, I don't know, 25K, 50K. Why do you think a truck costs so gosh darn much? Because they can get away with financing that, right? That's literally the only reason. Because they can get away with financing it.
Oh yeah. So what about college education?
The college ed thing, and I will say I started seeing reports coming out about the bubble within the car market.
Yes.
People are starting to default on their payments.
Yes. Yep. And delinquencies are rising. Yep.
You got to look at it on the end of you able to do 6 years on a
10, 8. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It used to only be like a 3-year.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, 5 was the outlier. You were looked at.
5 was the outlier. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy, bro. Absolutely crazy.
Also, I want to jump back on one thing. That whole Coinbase situation for how they made that public statement, but not like intentionally.
Yeah, buddy.
I'm gonna go on record and say, give it before 2025, 2, if not at least 5 of the other exchanges that do business here in the States are going to have a term of service change and be like, yeah, so basically we operate like a bank, and when things start going haywire, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to take your funds, we're going to bail in, and then if you're actually just a low-end retail investor, we're going to see you just like how a traditional bank sees the regular under, let's say, $1,000 account holder at a regular bank. Like, you so far down on the bottom of the totem pole, like, we're not even gonna pay attention to you. Everything is about making the investors and the other bigger stakeholders whole. And I'm gonna say 2 things. First off, you can thank your boy Obama for that, because that whole switch over for the FDIC and how the banks and the bail-in stuff was working out for what they could do with the account holder funds, that was during his era. That was during his administration. The second part is, I keep saying this shit about the Dodd-Frank Act. Dodd-Frank Act, I think it's Section 2 or something like that, or Section 8, Chapter 2 or something along that line.
Damn, look at Trekk, man. He knee deep in it, ain't he?
Bruh.
He keeps all the receipts.
It literally breaks down how the banks are able to hold your funds and say, no, we can't, we don't have to give it to you. Dodd-Frank Act. Look the shit up.
Yeah.
And you will see. And that's what's being pushed over into the crypto space. I would also like to know, this isn't about the technology. This is about the use case.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about what the technology can or can't do. It's not about what you have access to. It's about them saying, once you put it in this type of system that is regulated similarly to this thing, or it has a similar use case, we're going to push over these traditional regulations and understandings and frame of use case to say, hey, we're going to treat it like it's traditional banking. And I'm also going to go to say it's a recession happening, and they putting in capital flight controls. and people just keep running along and the market's looking great, and oh, I'm doing this and this in crypto. Just wait.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think we lost Seth there for a minute. He'll jump back in. Yeah, he's back. My bad, man. I tried to take your share screen off, and it kicked both you and your share screen off. Yeah, man, that's we'll have to see what happens, man. It's interesting. I just want people, and that's why I do these like live streams, because we try to talk about things from a different angle, not so just simple and linear. Get the wheels turning and thinking, so you guys can be more prepared for whatever happens. If we go higher, then you'll be prepared. If we go lower, then you'll also be prepared, and it won't blindside you. Right. So yeah, let's talk about Bitcoin though. This article was out of Cointelegraph. I thought it was pretty interesting because it just talks about like Bitcoin standing apart from other cryptos, and it's more so regarding like its decentralization, right? And we got Sleepy Joe here. I don't know if that's Weekend at Barney's, like if someone like behind him with some strings just having him look like he's alive, or
I don't know, what? Man. That one looks like Interview with a Vampire. He's looking pretty pasty.
Looking pasty, bro. Joe, you need some melanin in that skin, boy. You need some melanin in that skin.
Hey, if you make fun of the POTUS, you ain't black. Careful there.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
See.
Very true. Trey, what you got to say?
You already know, bro. I'm so annoyed with the people who try to beat me.
Oh my God, Weekend at Biden's
for the blue team, and it's just like, yo, the blue team ain't doing shit for y'all right now. Like, stop it. Like, I'm done. I don't care. Like, don't tell me about voting for things after the fact of when the regulation or like the policy or the idea is already put together by people who do not have my interest.
Right.
Like, no, I don't care about that.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you for alerting us, by the way, to the fact that Obama is still drone striking, but now potentially our savings. That's how I'm framing your news from before.
Hey, Stack,
on the drone strike button.
This is like totally off subject, but I literally when Putin started going into Ukraine, it was like just irrational. I'm like, this guy must have like had a death sentence, or like a bad diagnostic, or whatever you want to call it, health report, because he was just going in like it's all over. I'm just gonna go guns a blazing. That's what I feel like. So Stack, that may be true, man.
Wait. What does Stack say, please?
Rumor is that Putin has cancer.
Yes, I seen that pop up in one of the groups I'm in. I have seen that pop up in one of the groups I'm in. But I will say though, as far as like how the blue and yellow thing goes, we keep making it sound like it was just a random out of nowhere. Like, if you listen to American news, they will make you think that just one day he woke up and was like, I'm about to go set it on this country over here. Like, no, and no. The U.S. has been talking about sanctioning Russia since last year, like around November, December, like publicly saying things. The U.S. and NATO has been making moves for the last 10 years that is just like, you guys made an agreement that you wouldn't do certain things, but each administration, we keep doing certain things. Like, at the end of the day, another sovereign country is not going to be like, all right, that's cool, I ain't worried about it. Nah, I'm good. Like, no, that's not how it works in the geopolitical scene. I'm going to see you doing things, and I know it's not this is going to be an instantaneous tomorrow, but I project out. Like, that's how you move geopolitically. Like, it's not just in 2 weeks. It's like, well, what is this going to look like in 3 years? What is this going to look like in 5 years? How do I build my resources or build my defenses on the economic front, on a physical front, on a business front, for when you actually take action as my quote opposition? How insulated am I? Just saying. Like, if you I say this all the time in my two Satoshis. Depending on what you're paying attention to, these things are being talked about by people all the time. It's just a matter of, are you paying attention to someone who's putting it in the context that you can understand that is relevant to where you are in this thing called life? Most folks are not.
Yeah. No, I'm with you, man. I want to jump back to the Bitcoin thing really quickly, though, because we got off topic, though. You know, this article is basically kind of making the point to, and this, you know, a lot of my Bitcoin maximums are going to be happy with this one, to the fact that, you know, Bitcoin is pretty much the only one that doesn't have well, they have a foundation, but, you know, they're not the ones really controlling and pulling the strings behind closed doors. And, you know, is that going to be enough for what we see with the Biden administration and them, you know, coming out with their new laws that they're you know, going to implement here in the States in the next few years or so? Is that going to set Bitcoin apart from all the other ones that do have a basically a point of attack, a vector? They had a central point of attack. Every other cryptocurrency blockchain that I know of. Seth, what's your take on that?
I mean,
is it going to set?
Exists. Blockstream exists, so it kind of does mess with this narrative a little bit, right? So
a little bit.
You can't control Bitcoin. Like, you can't ever become the head of Bitcoin, but you can become the neck of Bitcoin if you control the Lightning Network or the rails upon which Bitcoin is transferred. So
that's why they're trying to get
Lightning Network.
But the thing, I'm an anti-Lightning Network guy myself, and that's why I think the push from Blockstream, the push for Lightning Network and the adoption of it is to create that chokehold, that central point of failure for Bitcoin's network. What's your take?
Yeah, no, I agree. Completely. I completely agree there. So I think as far as there being a completely sovereign and decentralized network, Bitcoin is like the network. There are so many other blockchain projects that I think are trying to do something innovative and are trying to work towards decentralization, but it is only on a spectrum. And Bitcoin is one of the few blockchain projects that doesn't exist on a decentralization spectrum. The layer one is just decentralized. End of story. Like, it's the pattern for decentralization.
Right.
Same with probably Monero and a few others like that are completely sovereign. And yeah, the developers have to, they can push updates, but the network itself has to signal support and and voluntarily opt into those updates. They can't just be forced into updates. So yeah, I think it does track. No, Bitcoin is one of those things where I think on the other side of this narrative, kind of like where you can maybe poke holes in this narrative of like, oh, there are shills in the altcoin space. Well, I mean, I'm not going to name names, but there are people who have Bitcoin on-ramping platforms, right? Like, hey, come DCA into Bitcoin with us. They have incentive? They've made themselves middlemen to give people access, and they quite often sell their information to KYC AML groups, right? Or to three-letter agencies that want KML or KYC AML info. So it's not ever just as cut and dried as like, well, Bitcoin is the only one that has no shills. No, there's shills everywhere, and everybody has incentive.
Oh, the shills definitely exist. Yeah, the shills definitely exist on Bitcoin's side, as you said, as in all projects, because at the end of the day, all of these asset classes pretty much suffer from the greatest fool's theory, which is you're looking, whether you're doing it on purpose or not, you're subconsciously wanting people to support whatever bags you have, because that makes you feel like it legitimizes your decision to purchase what you purchase, and it pumps your bags up. And so it is what it is, man. And you know, hey, I just wonder, you know, from a regulatory standpoint, though, Seth and Trekk, you can chime in on this. I do have to say, and I put it in the email, like, you know, what about Ethereum and EOS? People are like, EOS? Well, those are the only 3 coins that have been cleared by the SEC. You know that, right? For now. You think they're going to go back on it, or what are you saying?
Okay. So jumping on the Bitcoin part first. And this is the part that gets me for what I see going on. There's a funnel happening in the terms we use and the way we are talking about this thing in relation to like financial instruments and people's ability to be a part of it for whatever rationale there is. It's all about like this use case side thing versus saying, hey, here's a technology and it has a multitude and plethora of applications, right? But we still just focus on it in this one particular use case and then make this correlation of like the traditional setup of the top-down model. You got to have an authority. You got to have somebody who's telling you how to do this. You can't do it the other way because that's not what the majority of the people are doing. Like, you already know, Blood, I get very annoyed about that whole, well, you have to do it this way or this is the only way that it can work because the majority does this thing. As far as the other part with like Ethereum and EOS and stuff, I mean, I look at it and like, I'm still looking at this thing going, it is the techie version of prohibition. We're having it where when you look at like the time span of prohibition, that was more than 10 years for when one day, based on, you know, the cultural nuances at the time, the government's like, hey, listen, no more drinking, y'all. No more making it, no more buying it, no more selling it. And then all of a sudden,
that worked out great.
But you got to understand, though, in the bigger picture of it, a whole department was created off of it. A whole new segment of, hey, we made this many jobs was created off of it. We're doing the same thing right now in crypto. And just because X amount or the minority of the classics got the nod, it doesn't mean that the SEC by like 2025 can't turn around and be like, well, you know what, we kind of had it wrong. And so we've been talking to the DOJ and we've been talking to Homeland and yeah, we got to switch up this, you know, decision that we said X amount of years back.
But I have one serious question and you know, response to that so eloquently made statement. What does this have to do with Reggie's patent?
I bet. Let's go.
Shout out to everything for clicks. Oh man, we got to keep that campaign going, y'all. We got to keep that campaign going.
Listen, I already got the South Park character. If you look at them, I'm gonna start throwing that in rotation. It's gonna be hashtag Reggie, and the other one's gonna be, well, what does it have to do with Reggie's patent?
It all comes back to that patent, baby.
I need y'all to understand my position in regards to this patent, where it's not about me being like, oh, you're promoting somebody to control the space. No, here's my thought process. My thought process is, well, first off, it's a couple of things. One, I'm not even gonna cap with y'all. Like, I want him to win because, like, he's one of the few black people in this space.
Yeah, I just want him to win just because he's black. I'm sorry.
I'm not even gonna.
Can a nigga get a win? Can I get a win? Can we get a win, please? Amen. Amen. Let me get a win.
The other part that goes to this is more on the tech side, and I reference this back to the whole prohibition period. If you look at what happened during prohibition, when there was a clamp down, right? So now let's talk about it in relation to what he's saying the patent applies to Lightning Network, Ethereum, parts of Bitcoin's protocol and setup. If this is in that realm, and it's like, well, I have X amount of influence based on IP over this, what are the techie folks, not the more, but the people who are on the innovative, let's come up with something else different. Like, once the line officially gets drawn and says, okay, bam, we now know that these particular functions of protocols fall under this umbrella of this intellectual property for being something that someone has like a control over, as far as I can say, no, you can't use this. Yes, you can use this. Where does the development on the other side come out? Like, that's what I'm looking for. That is, for me, once that clear line gets dropped, once the first major company comes out and be like, listen, we partnered up with Reggie, we're doing a licensing deal, or it comes to the case of where a major platform in the space gets sued and it ends up being, hey, it turns out you did violate Reggie's IP. that line gets hit, now we're going to get into like another stage of development on the technical protocol level. That's what I'm looking for. That is
Yeah,
what
I mean,
happen.
I agree with Reggie and I disagree. Like, I just think, you know, we're supposed to be in this decentralized blockchain tech stack, right? It's irrelevant. Patents are irrelevant. On one, that's my like yin yang in this thing. Like that, going that direction is a losing battle. If we're actually going to, if the direction, the arrow of time is heading toward true decentralization, then it doesn't matter.
Okay.
However, if he can get some of that low hanging fruit right now, and it has to be right now, the next 5 years or less, if he can capture some of that and sue some of these big players and get his bag, I'm all for it. But I just think ultimately, you look at a grand 30,000 foot view of it, it's not. Come on now, suing over patents. We're in blockchain.
I agree with that as well. CSW is causing a lot of problems by being obviously a bad actor in that space. Reggie, I think, is earnest. I think that he means well. And I think that his patents, his filings were done on time, right? In a timely way. Not like Johnny come lately like CSW pretending to be somebody he wasn't, right? Reggie is obviously very sincere. So I wish him, all the best too. I hope he gets it. I hope he does get a win, but I'm with you as well. I hope it's something that just reinforces power to the state, right? Like
it would, though.
Caesar that which is Caesar's. Yeah, right. But render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's. So yeah, we got to pay taxes right now. But also in this parallel sort of circular crypto economy, there are a lot of things that are not entirely directly tied yet, where there's not perfect clarity to say, under exactly these circumstances, tax liability is always due, or under these circumstances, this particular royalty is always due. And then you also have open source licenses that fall into all of this question as well. Shout out to Lawrence Lessig, the guy that helped create Creative Commons back in the day. He didn't call it Lessig law, right, or Lessig licensing. He's like, no, we'll just call it Creative Commons, right? To show you how like down to earth he was about it. He's not trying to be a gatekeeper. But you have attribution license, you have MIT licenses, you have the GNU licenses, right? GPL3 and others that are like, they're flawed, but they're a different way of doing things. Just say, hey, all of the stuff that's being innovated here can be built on in a certain way. And we're okay with that. And so much of blockchain builds on those licenses. Dr.
Moda makes a good point here. And I think, Trekk, you know about Martin Armstrong. I follow him years ago. Is Reggie barking up the wrong tree? Is he heading into danger in regards to trying to go after these guys? And will he end up like a Martin Armstrong?
Okay, so I'm gonna say this because I was talking to Reggie about this a couple weeks ago, and he made a point about how we have open source license agreements as far as like fair use and the MIT joint. And he was making a distinction on the end of, yes, there is hey, anyone can use this kind of common use IP, right? But if you look at it from the standpoint of, did someone take action to file paperwork to say that has influence in how a technology or a process can be used? In that particular framing, common use IP or the MIT joint, and I forgot what the other one is, that goes like, it plays in part with the whole thing of like, I'm doing an IP because I want people to pay X amount of royalties. But I will also add, I was listening to what's his face, God damn it, what's his name? Jack Mauler. He did an interview. Somebody dropped this in my one of the groups I'm in like a week or something ago, and he did an interview with Peter from What Bitcoin Did, and he was making a point about how Coinbase's revenue model, as well as X amount of the other CEXs out there, centralized exchanges, their revenue model is based on charging a fee for processing whatever crypto it is, right? And so he was like, listen, like, I'm looking at it going, this has to have a sunset because at the end
Yeah,
of the
it's
day,
a race to the bottom.
right?
It absolutely
and that was the
is.
point that he was making. He was like, it's a race to the bottom.
It is.
And I would argue that the same kind of thing would apply in this scenario now, which goes to what you were saying about like, okay, like if Reggie can win X amount of the court cases to get his quote bag now,
Right.
cool. But like, is this going to be
He's got a short
40,
window.
50
No.
year down to 100 year down? No. Like,
he's got a
at
very
that
short
point,
window.
You know, but I also said this to Reggie too. Like, I agree with what he was making the point about, like the common law, open source use thing. But I also made this other point to him about what I'm hypothesizing. Okay, I'm hypothesizing this. What I would argue a lot of the big name companies are doing right now, because Reggie was making a point about how IP is civil law. It's not criminal. So like if you have a situation where the SEC is criminal.
That's right.
And I said, well, if that's the case, then I think what they're doing is they're going through all of their iterations and experimentations and making all of the money they can make right now. And then so let's say 2 years from now, it then comes out, we're like, listen, X amount of you companies are wholeheartedly violating this IP. You need to cease and desist, right? Because then let's say 2 years from now, he actually starts getting official lawsuits, or other things start happening where some regulatory agency comes in and be like, all right, you guys have to do blah, 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 because you are violating this patent. At that point, in my mind and how I'm looking at it is, it's like what the banks were doing during the 08 to like, let's say the 05, or really the whole early part of the 2000 decade, where they were running through doing as much money as they can. And then when you finally get hit with either somebody caught you for what you was doing or the law comes in on you, you're like, oh, well, how much is it going to cost me to just pay the fine? Oh, that's how much it is? All right, bet, cool, here. I'm good. Reggie counters my argument with saying, oh, but you're now held for the compensatory of up to X amount of $1 million. And I'm like, yeah, I get that. But if I spent the last 5 years pulling in a couple $100 million a year, at the end of 5 years, I've figured out what other financial instruments and other revenue models I can come up with that go around what you have patented. And I already have the money to be able to cover the fines that will go back for when you made your patent. Like, that's how I'm looking at it. Somebody made this point. It was Lamar Wilson made this point. He was saying how X amount of these founders will go into a law firm and be like, listen, I need what is it called? Oh God. It's basically like, here's what I want to do. Tell me, would I face civil lawsuit or would I face criminal charges? And based on how they assess it, it's like, well, if this is going to be a criminal thing, I can run until I hit the brick wall of either the law or somebody who has the legal standing to be able to come after me. And that's what I think a number of these companies are doing, but nobody wants to call this shit out. Like, I've been doing my little thing here and there on the back end, trying to reach out to certain people between companies, law firms, other noted content creators. Bro, when I tell you the silence is deafening, it is fucking deafening.
Yeah, I wonder why though. It's weird because even my man Rice, shout out to Rice TVX, Rice Crypto, he's wanted some big people who me and Seth have been on their show. I won't name names to talk about it, and I don't know for whatever reason won't. It's interesting.
Yep.
He's edgy too, man. That's the thing. I think if they can smell the fact that you're a little low on fear, they shut things down. There's an aspect to it too, right? Like when it comes to, and I think maybe this feeds into one of the articles you have, but the modern day promotion, the modern day marketing is influencer marketing. It is it's a whole different beast than it was even 5 years ago, right?
Yep.
So people know which way their bread is buttered, and they don't want to interfere with their revenue streams or with their incentives. So it's kind of sad because they're truth tellers, truth sayers like Trekk, who sometimes come up short. I'm looking for that.
You already know, bro. I'm not gonna get the deals you get, bro. And I'm definitely not going to be on TV like Blood is. And I'm like, oh no, you remember you said blah blah blah? We got the Twitter post.
Oh, if they let me on TV, boy, the world must be ending because I say some crazy shit. I don't know, man. You might not see me on TV. You might see me on Netflix.
Netflix is a new TV, bro. But they about to start laying people off.
You might see me on Netflix. Let's talk about that. It's kind of a segue, Seth, into the endorsements by celebrities and this whole crypto world. We got another one, man. Floyd Mayweather, yet another. At this point, it should start being criminal. Like, how many of these pump and dumps can he participate in without any repercussions? I mean, he gets fined here or there. I don't even think they're going after him yet on this one, but this is out of NBC News. After this article, he might be looking at some suits. But this guy, really a big fan of Floyd Mayweather, dropped like $12,000 and some other dough into it. Basically all his money, which right there is the number one. That's your mistake. You should not be dumping all of your money into any crypto project. That's his number one mistake right there. But he did it. He went ahead and did that. And I think it was called, what was this one called? It was some NFT project. What is it called here?
Bored Bunny.
Bored Bunny NFT. Oh my God, man. I wonder how much Floyd was paid for this. Anyway, the floor used to be somewhere around $1,500, 0.4 Ethereum. Now the floor is 0.05, which is around $104. So a 10x. That's a big hit. Big hit.
Yeah.
What's your thought on? I want to just know first, Seth. What's your thought on NFTs and their floors in bear markets? We're starting to, we didn't have any examples until now. We all were wondering and had our theories about how would NFTs react to a bear market. What's your take and what are you seeing out there?
Yeah,
in the NFT world.
First off, I need to say that, like, as far as NFTs go, I'm not super, like, I don't have a whole lot of exposure to these more volatile NFTs. I was not placed on any whitelists or any insider trading groups to be able to get free airdrops of, say, like Bored Apes or Mutant Apes or anything else. I don't have a whole lot of ApeCoin or any of the other sort of like derivative generative NFT projects, and I'm okay with that. I'm really okay
I don't
with
either.
that.
I didn't jump on that. Huh?
He noticed he said, I don't have a whole lot. It means he got a bag, CB. I don't mean to be pocket watching, you said.
No, I can show you. Here's the funny thing. With you, I'm okay with you pocket watching. I'll literally dox for you quietly. So I'll KYC to Trekk. You're on that short list, my friend. So so if you want to check out like wallet addresses, I'm happy to provide that to you. So I don't really hold much at all. If anything, it's going to be like smaller initiatives, but stuff like that, I don't hold any of those. And I'm okay with not being in those insider lists,
right?
Because frankly, it's like, I mean, it's the same stuff that we saw in tech startups in like 2015, 2016, right?
Mm-hmm.
Privileged VC groups and insiders, sometimes angel investors that knew a little bit more. They'd be put on these like short lists, and they get this allocation of like, all right, cool, you want 10% of this company? We can probably get you in on 10% of like these number of companies over here coming out of Silicon Valley. Within 3 years, multimillionaire status. What did they do? Not a damn thing. What value did they provide to the world? Nothing at all. So we're seeing that all over again in this space, only it's so much more speculative where it's like, okay, and I'm not going to,
it's
harp about like utility or whatever. I'm not going to be that guy in the conversation about NFTs. But what I will say is like just artistic merit, dude. You can go get a copycat version of Bored Apes or anything else done, Lazy Lions or whatever else. You can get it done for about $50 on Fiverr. All in.
Mm-hmm.
The merit is not there. The artistic merit is not there. Talk to people who are genuine artists who've been struggling to become digital artists. They hate the idea of NFTs because it's cheapened what they do, right? Because they're getting people coming up to them saying like, oh, you got such beautiful art. We want to work on an NFT with you. We want to partner with you. And what they hear from these groups is not like, oh, yeah, we're going to promote and help you get royalties. What they're hearing is, no, we want you to do work for hire. Here's $150. Make our NFT for us. We're going to go make millions. Yeah. Nah, man, it's the same old shit. It's just a different new medium, right? The recording artists or recording industry did it years ago. I'll use it as a bad example. That UK the UK artist Jamiroquai, right? Like we all grew up with that guy coming up. That guy was a slave to Sony for 20 years. For 20 years, he hardly earned a thing.
I didn't know that.
In fact, when towards the tail end of that contract, he was begging people when he was on stage, yeah, go bootleg our shit. Because he couldn't handle it anymore. He was about to go crazy under that contract because they had him for 20 years. I'm sorry, for 20 full albums, which was like, yeah,
more than 20 years. I would assume.
That was the contract.
I didn't know that.
You did 20 full albums for us, Sony Columbia, right? So, and that's just one small example, right? In the recording industry, though, we know this is a familiar thing, right? Like with every label, we've heard this, in every genre, every industry, or every sub label. You hear this stuff about like, oh yeah, labels are probably evil, right? I think Q-Tip said it, right? Record company people are shady, right? Like this. You hear it. Like if you're listening for it, you hear it. We've been warned for decades.
Right.
But now with NFTs, it's like, okay, well, yeah, this is decentralization and it's provably fair.
So this is you would say this is another iteration of ICOs. That's how I looked at it for the most part, right? It's just a new flavor of it, ICO 2.0. And I think that may have been why I stayed away, to be honest with you, Seth, because I felt the pain from that ICO bubble pop in late 17, 18. So
I'm gonna argue different. I'm gonna argue different.
I love to hear. Definitely, this makes it good.
So here's why I say, like, yes, there is a similarity as far as the plethora and the tidal wave of NFT related projects that are popping up right now, right? But personally, I look at NFTs as a technology that has a content, whether you're talking about visual, audio, or whatever, utility to it. So it's a technology that can be used in this particular way. So from that standpoint, we're not seeing. Okay, so about the ICO part of it. The ICO was, here's a new financial way of crowdfunding, of raising capital, where we, funny enough, the marketing narrative was, let's be all inclusive and anyone can do this.
Wait, let me cut you off there.
What's up?
They're raising money through NFT releases, though.
No, they are. But again, I'm looking at it from the standpoint of, it's a technology that's being used in an artistic sense that on top is an artistic sense, but it is another financial instrument for raising capital, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like in regards to like what the revenue model is. I'm not even going to say business model, because it's not necessarily that they've actually formed full-on businesses, but they figured out a way that if we sell this quote product, it can bring in funds for us. To the point that Mind Your Business was saying about how you have X amount of artists like who are actual like visual or musical artists who are like, this is cheapening what we do. I would argue the issue is the cross point of understanding the technology and how to use it to better enable their IP versus them looking at it going, well, if anybody can just copy and paste a file and attach it to this, blockchain and then say it's on this marketplace, then yeah, that cheapens what I do. But I would argue that's not fully understanding how to actually apply the technology and being able to build your brand. That's my standpoint on it, though. I get, though, how most people look at it and just like, oh, well, it's a JPEG and you can copy and paste anything. Yeah, but there's that. The technology provides provenance. Like, that's the key selling point in relation for you to say, like, I can get the royalties. I can get this thing of proving, hey, the intellectual property that I have to it, the copyright, because the blockchain part of this technology proves the provenance. If you're just focused on the artistic side of it and you're not even caring about how it works, and not at the coder level.
But the thing is, though, it's may have started that way, but it's been perverse, right? And a lot of these projects are just releasing these NFTs, not caring about provenance. It's a money grab.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
It literally is a money grab, right? So
it's a money grab, and let's say where we at right now, 2022. So like to 2024, 2025, it's the money grab window. I would argue if you're a creative person who is really trying to like long run, and when I say long run, I'm not talking about a 3-year thing. I'm talking about like 10 years, 15, 20. If you can actually take this time to really hone in on understanding how the technology applies, you already got the artistic side of it. The issue is understanding how to actually implement the technology in the way that best suits you and building your brand. And that's a longevity game. So while everybody out here doing the whole like, you know, excuse me, my NFT has a whitelist and my NFT is connected to blah, 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 big name person. In my opinion, all of the celebrity folks you see running around dropping NFT this, NFT that, those are all licensing deals. Right? Everyone gets caught up in what's his face? Snoop. Snoop's whole situation is a licensing deal. His whole situation is a marketing campaign. And I've been saying this shit for months, bro. It's not that Snoop is a genius. He's not. It's his team that he got hired around him who know what the hell they doing.
They're geniuses. But hey, I mean, that's what, you know, you're supposed to make the boss look good. And they're making them look good. They're making them look good. We can't.
Being sold.
Shout out. I want to just highlight Todd's. He said YouTube needs to create a record company and do NFT releases for its artists. Yay and nay. I'm just do a shameless plug right here. BannedNFTs.com is a company that I advise for, and I'm doing some work with. Man, they've already got a whole system set up where they're actually
is that banned like BANNED?
No,
banned? Like
banned as in BAND. BannedNFTs.com. Yeah.
Oh, lost opportunity, missed opportunity. It'd be a lot sexier if they were banned. I'm just saying. Right. Everything's
no, but they really actually have a very good platform because their NFTs can be multi-track. They're the first platform to have multi-tracked NFT releases, music NFT releases. Like this artist doesn't have more than one track, but there's a couple on here that definitely. I think this girl here has a couple of tracks in this release. So you pay one price for the NFT, and you get the music with it, and then do like monthly airdrops from the artist to those who hold those NFTs. So it's happening now. You know, the actual good utility part of NFTs. You know, it's coming.
Yeah, can I share something also? I'm gonna just
absolutely
a window here.
Absolutely.
This is just a case study. It's not for a platform. It's not for a specific. It is going to show a specific artist, but there's a guy by the name of Grammatic. He started by doing hip hop beats and back in the day. Then started to go towards right. So he did a bunch of. He was a beat maker. Then he wanted to make some of his own tracks, and then kind of laying down some more like nightclub style stuff. Once the lockdowns really took a toll in 2020, he struggled to be able to make his tour dates, and he decided to do an NFT drop with the guys over at Gemini. They've got their platform, right? Their NFT platform. And they hyped it up, and he completely recouped the lost revenue from that tour that he couldn't go on. So I do see that it is empowering some artists if they're smart about it. And Trekk, like you're saying, if they get ahead of it to say, hey, I'm going to adopt this and embrace this technology instead of just shun it, there is a huge opportunity for artists. So I'm not arguing against that at all. But what I am saying is that it's a bit like the ICO and the token craze, where we know like 95% of the tokens are scams and or just wash trading schemes. Especially now, it doesn't matter if it's an ICO or an IDO, right? Like you launch on a DEX and then it's like, wow, how did the price of this token like race up to $15 overnight? Because there's some dude with his own supply, just like wash trading back and forth.
Right.
And NFTs are doing the same thing, ladder trading up from worthless collections, where like didn't they prove? Who was it? Who was the most recent high-profile case where they proved Kardashian, right? That she was buying her own stuff.
And Trump, Melania, what's her name? Melania Trump as well. Wash traded her own NFTs up.
Yeah. So it's these characters that I'm.
It's
that I'm
resembling.
like,
It's same behavior as the ICO, Trekk. I'm trying to tell you, bro.
No, I'm not saying it's not another funding mechanism. I'm not saying no to that. What I'm saying is for the people, as far as the creatives who are like, oh, this is lessening our abilities to create, or like our ability to hold on to our intellectual property as far as somebody copying them. That's them not understanding enough of how this thing actually works and how it works individually to their, whatever it is that they're pushing out as a creative product. That's at least that's been my take on it. From what I sit in one or two what's the thing called, Twitter Spaces. There's one that I slid in a lot just to hear what is going on in like the streets, quote, the NFT streets, and who's talking about what project or who's talking about what blockchain. And it's interesting to hear people's take on, and this isn't, and it's a combination of creatives and then the people who are just looking to support whoever the creative person is, right? And like I said, like that's just my take on it and what I've noted over the last couple of months.
Yeah, I hear you, man. Let's talk about this here Ethereum merge coming up. They're promising it, man. Here we go again. Ethereum saying they're gonna have their merge ready. Seth is already laughing. If everything, quote unquote, goes to plan, of course, that's right. We all got a plan until we get punched in the face.
That's conditional.
famous Mike Tyson quote. What's your take on this whole situation, man? Because I don't know if you guys know that, Ethereum had built in what's called a difficulty bomb within its protocol this was smart. I like that they did this. And it's almost like the debt ceiling though, because you can always punt it. And they did that, right? I think last year or a year and a half ago, they voted to do a upgrade to circumvent the difficulty bomb from going off. So they technically could do it again, right? It's like one of those false, emergencies or whatever. But what do you think? So the difficulty bomb kicks in and makes the Ethereum network slow down to the point where it's almost unusable. They're talking about they're going to go ahead and merge over to proof of stake before that deadline. Seth, what's your take on Ethereum 2.0 going from proof of work to proof of stake? Where are we with this, man? I mean, it's been a long time coming. 2016, if I could recall correctly.
Yeah, and they were making really bold promises about 2017 being like the drop dead, right, for proof of stake shipping. Here we are 5 years later, it still isn't shipped. If August they finally do get they somehow get their ducks in a row to be able to launch a really good, solid mainnet switch to proof of stake, then okay, cool. But here's the problem. Ethereum is still slow and it's still expensive to use. They don't actually fix any of those problems.
No, they don't fix anything. Yep.
Yeah, not at all. So the only thing they do is they change the gatekeepers, rather the payment for security, right? They change their current set of bouncers, who, by the way, are all basically 350-pound linebackers who are doing after hours duty when you want to compare proof of work, proof of stake, over to a bunch of eggheads from Silicon Valley. That's kind of the equivalent, right? When you're talking about like, okay, who's actually securing this thing? You want the 350-pound roughneck, right?
Yep.
That's who you want. You do not want to change to anything less for security. And proof of stake, having that switch be done so quickly, we're going to see that we centralize the power into the hands of people who are primarily the Ethereum ICO holders, right? Who all sacrificed 1 Bitcoin in exchange for 2,000 ETH. And those guys they're extremely excited, though some of them capitulated when we saw all-time high for Ethereum last year. So
do we go high? Do we go higher though? Because in this conversion, in this move over to proof of stake, you're talking about how many coins or value of coins being pretty much eliminated. It's going to by 90%. I think the supply is going to be cut by 90%.
Yeah, that's kind of like grabbing a whatever. It's kind of like grabbing not a hostage. It's like grabbing a terrorist and holding them and putting a gun to their heads and saying, "All right, everybody, you do what I say. I'm going to shoot this guy." Nobody cares. No, really, nobody. It's like slashing the supply of a coin that is already trending down doesn't actually improve the value that much. It is only there's only so much you can do there without giving it intrinsic value lift, right? You can't just keep on using these economic tricks.
I got a question then. So remember what I said about how it's the asterisk of Ethereum is not a security. Now, what happens if after, when they do move over to POS, the SEC is like, well, you know what? You guys change your consensus and we can reach out and touch a number of people because you kind of moved in a more centralized way that we can wrap our arms around.
It's funny you say that because this article tries to spin it like proof of stake is more decentralized. I don't know if you picked that up, Seth. And we all know
that opinion.
Well, no, Decrypt is pretty much owned by Consensus. Consensus bought Decrypt, so
yeah,
there go those gatekeepers again. Trekk, we were talking about earlier on earlier live stream. You know, these we have media gatekeepers in the crypto space as well. So, hey, you got to do your research, ladies and gentlemen. So you guys say that proof of stake is not, in the case with Ethereum, moving from proof of work to proof of stake is not more decentralized and more secure?
Oh, I'm going to say as far as the net hash of Ethereum right now in proof of work, you can take a look at there's some visualizations and tools online that show you just how decentralized it is now. And you can look at the current staking pools for the tests moving up to, like the beacon chain moving up to this merge, and you can just any person can compare the two and contrast and see how much more decentralized proof of work is today. Now, if that's the case 6 months afterwards, a year afterwards, man, I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. But today, right now, you can show that decentralization is happening with proof of work, and in particular, because anybody can contribute in a permissionless way. That is an elastic supply of decentralized security. I can take a beat up gaming laptop like what I'm streaming on right now, and I can mine Ethereum. It might not be profitable, but I can do it. And that promotes decentralization. You can't do that with almost any other cryptocurrency in the same way, right? Just permissionlessly double click an EXE and start securing the network. That goes away with the merge.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So I don't know, man. We'll see. I personally think I'm not even that big of a Ethereum fan. But I will have to say that I think with this merge, we will, because crypto is just rampant with speculation. I just think we're going to see at some point in the near future, you're going to see Ethereum near $18,000, $20,000. That will put, and I made that prediction last year. I said 16, 17. Remember we were going back and forth with Alan Henna, Trekk. I think Seth, you've been on some of those sessions back last year with Alan, and I was saying I think Ethereum will be at 16,000, 15,000. This pretty much puts us right in that range. If this, 90% reduction in supply, hey, we'll see. Crypto diamonds might strike again.
I think you're right, though. I think it depends on, it's whatever that next leg up. I think it's still going to be highly correlated to Bitcoin, though. I think we're not going to see that price in Ethereum until we see 100K Bitcoin. Whenever that happens, whatever trajectory.
Whenever that happens,
finally see a six figure,
Right. Shout out to Clark Crypto for joining, becoming a YouTube member. Appreciate it. Have to add you in the list for next week's drawing. We just did one earlier. Me and Trekk did a Oculus drawing here. We're gonna do one every week for the next 6 weeks. So about $100 worth.
You got me excited. I thought you were talking about one of those VR headsets, the Oculus headsets.
Not Oculus.
Arculus.
Arculus.
Yes.
False advertising. I'm becoming an unmember now. Jokes.
Yo, I might give away a headset. Why not? I'll do that.
Jokes. It's only the mining channels that do the ridiculous giveaways. They're giving away like gaming rigs and stuff. It's like, no, guys, calm down. It's just YouTube. Relax.
Let's take a look at this one out, and this is kind of going back to the whole Bitcoin. This supports Bitcoin maximalists or people very highly supportive of Bitcoin network. I couldn't believe this one, man. So
Bro,
looks, yeah, it looks like China. Look, when they did their ban, okay, the network participation dropped to 0. Okay, it went from 33%, 34% of the network was mining from within China. That was in June 2021, down to 0%. July of 2021. I just want someone to guess where it is today.
All right, hold on, real quick. One, I talk about this on one of the episodes of my two Satoshis. One, and then two, I'm actually curious on Mind Your Biz interpretation of this, because I was the article that I read was saying that Cambridge Analytica. Who was it? Cambridge somebody.
No, it's Cambridge Bitcoin Electricity Consumption Index. Didn't even know about that. It's Cambridge University.
CC something. But anywho, and what got me was the metric that they're using. I didn't understand the setup, because it's like they were doing this averaged number thing, and I was like, all right, at some point I'm gonna ask you about it, and here we are right now. So the way that the article that I came across initially tried to make it sound like, oh, they moved up into the top 2, like they're back practically going to be at number 1.
Yeah, I mean, from their data, they're back at 22%.
Like, come on,
that's pretty much back at where they were before they got banned.
Which makes
now either it's there, you got private entities back in there, or the government booted everybody out and started mining themselves. I'm going with the latter. What do you say, Seth?
I think you got a third option that maybe your viewers wouldn't consider initially, and that is they're hardware manufacturers. Everything that we mine on, almost everything,
they pre-mine.
Guess where?
Yep.
You got it. So they pre-mine on it as well while it's coming out of the factory to all of those orders that are pending around the world. That could alone be worth.
I didn't think about it. That's smart. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
So, I mean, just that testing phase, right? we got to test your units. Make sure they're real good. Test them for like 3 months until they're worthless. Then we send them to you.
That's
what this is known.
I remember those days, man.
Antminer or Bitmain or one of them did that. Like that.
Oh no, they all did, bro. When I used to mine back in the day, that's what you order, and it take almost 2-3 months to get to you, and by that time it's like, oh, the difficulty rate has changed, and now my profitability. Man, the game they play. What are your thoughts about that, Trekk? 22%.
Like I said, like the metric that they were using, I didn't understand it, and so I don't know if that number actually makes sense. That's how I'm looking at it. Like, it doesn't mean that, like, you know what I'm saying, in 9 months that the industry won't, bolster back up. Now, whether it's going to be under like individual companies or under government bolster, that's yet to be seen. But I do know that China has been setting up legal framework in order to have the industry grow a certain way, but not like how we see it here in the West, whether you're talking about Europe or Latin America or Asia or Africa. They have their way of how they want it to function and develop. And like, arguably, is just too much money and influence within the back end technical part of the crypto space to just let it totally be outside of your quote borders. Yeah, I can't disagree with that at all. Yeah, Bitcoin is too big. It is. If we're talking about all proof of work blockchains, just Bitcoin and all crypto mining in general, it is too big when you've got the kind of cost subsidies that you get from heavy manufacturing in a country like China, right? Like, so much stuff is made there. You've got the power distribution, you've got the power generation, you've got the excess capacity. Like, to not mine with it would be insane. And when all those announcements were made and the hash rate dipped in China, anybody who was talking about proof of work at that time, all the proof of work channels and commentators, we were all saying the same thing. We're like, this is insane. Like, China is going to regret this decision if it sticks. But clearly it didn't stick, like you're saying. And so I agree with Trekk.
they'd be crazy to fully ban the thing. So maybe there's special provision for these groups. Maybe they're just like so-called like black ops of China, right? So tech black ops budgets, or maybe they're under the purview of something along the lines of China's like DHS. So I don't know exactly what the full explanation is, but I think in terms of where the hash
but
rate
doesn't
came
it show?
from,
Doesn't it show the resilience of the network though? Right, that's pretty awesome. I appreciate that. Yep.
Okay,
I appreciate
so,
that.
all right, I'm gonna throw this out there real quick. You didn't make it to Bitcoin Miami, mind your biz, but CB you did, and you remember there was that whole section of nothing but mining related companies. Whether you talking about doing the software, the rigs, the mobile units, how many of those companies were based in Asia? Like, when we talking either like Vietnam, South Korea, China, or Japan.
I can tell you from even without going Trekk, I can tell you even without having gone, I can give you the percentage. That's why I don't go to them. It's like reading the phone book to me. It's friggin' boring AF.
right. But well, okay, so my point of where I was going with that is, do you remember how it got pushed in our crypto media of, oh my God, China did this, and then it was like, oh my God, look at the hash rate, it's going down, and we're seeing that like X amount of these companies and people and hardware were exiting the country. So if all of these companies and people and hardware exited the country and ended up in Eastern Europe like Kazakhstan or Estonia, or we're ending up over here in the States, like, where did this new volume of company and hardware come from? Like, I feel like there was some kind of wag the dog's tail scenario that played out.
Bait and switch.
Because, like, who didn't? Okay, I don't know if y'all saw the pictures of people who were like, all right, we can't ship it because the whole shipping situation was messed up logistically. So they were having it where there were pictures floating around of people just using planes, private jets, and the like, or bigger carriers to just, all right, we're just going to fly it over to the place so we can get it in the quickest time of operation. So it's like, well, if this much hardware and people were exiting, how did we just all of a sudden like, whoop, whoop, here's X amount of volume back in the area? And you're telling me that no one noticed these black ops sites operating and building out and consuming more electricity? And this is why the way that the Cambridge thing was breaking it down didn't make sense to me.
Gotcha. Yeah, we'll see, man. I mean, again, it really is, to me, just giving more credence to Bitcoin's network and what do you call it? Anti-fragile fragility, you know? Bitcoin is one of the most anti-fragile networks out there, you know? It really is. So shout out to all those Bitcoin Maximus. Shout out to my man from a G perspective. That's my guy, LJ. He is all in on the Bitcoin. Let's talk about this one here. Insider news. Billy Gates says that he doesn't own any cryptocurrencies. You know why? Because it doesn't add anything to society. What do y'all think about that one? Jeez.
Yeah, I wish this is I think he's onto something. I wish I could add value to society by, like, say, reintroducing polio to areas of India that never had it, or say, you know, advocating for eugenics and trying to decrease the population of black and brown people around the world. He's really onto something. I think we should listen to more of this guy. He's smart.
What's interesting though is that, I mean, he was trying to be like tongue in cheek with it. He was like, Gates has cautioned people against investing in crypto before, especially those with less money than Elon Musk. That's everybody. That's everybody. He goes on to say Gates has also warned about the environmental impact of crypto. I'm kind of sick of that narrative. That environmental impact of crypto.
Yeah. Why doesn't he just make a crypto euthanasia machine? I mean, then he could all of his agendas in one, right? It's like, look, if you don't have enough to invest in crypto, just it's coin op too, right? You can just put a little coin in the side, jump in the machine, and it like launches your corpse out into space. Or if you have less money than than Elon, but you've invested in crypto anyway, you're going to get rugged. So just pay us all your crypto, jump in that pod, and then we'll eject your corpse out into space. Bill, you got to innovate more before you say stuff like that. Make this machine, and then maybe we'll give you a crypto.
Trekk.
Listen, I stopped paying attention to that dude a while ago because, again, I'm gonna put him in the same category as an Elon and a Novogratz. Like, you're in a whole different operational environment. You have a whole different set of agendas, and we just not on the same level. Like, we not. You're connected to a whole bunch of other stuff that's not what I'm interested in. As far as like, I think this is a good thing. You know what's funny though? Okay, let me jump back one. The funny or like irony of it is these things that he has been pushing over the last like 2-3 decades. Like, it isn't like he's just like, oh man, I want to wake up today and do something evil in the world and be like, right? Like, it's not that he does that, but he believes.
I mean,
in
are you
the
sure?
thing.
You have a wiretap yet?
All right,
Trekk?
all right. Let me say,
I mean,
I'm
you don't
making
know.
I'm making the assumption that he doesn't go, I'm gonna be evil today, right? And then be like, but like he. Really,
I don't think he does either. I really don't. I think he's so far removed, Seth, from reality, and so they make these.
No. He's not removed from reality. He's in a different reality. He has a whole different operational environment and commitments and agendas that it's not on our level. That is his reality. That's the point I'm trying to make. It's not that he's disconnected from reality. It is that the reality he's in, the views and the things that he does, those are like regular, okay, this is cool, that's a good idea conversation. It's a difference.
Yes, I agree 100%. We talk dollars and cents. He deals in human capital, right? He deals in families, communities, states, and it's just like, oh, is that a rounding error? Did we lose a few thousand people here there? I don't know, man. I agree with Trekk though. He has a whole different system of accounting, whole different reality. Yeah. Yeah,
I agree. And I know a billionaire, and he's up there like 15. Got to be like 10 or top 10 or 15 in the world, right? And been trying to get him into Bitcoin for years. And another thing, another layer on top of that, Trekk, is that they've made so much money in the fiat traditional system. There's no marginal benefit for them to see. We're in this space because we think it's going to be a big generational wealth transfer, right? That's what's going to occur. I'm assuming most of us are feeling that way. And I think that they have so much money and power. There's no marginal benefit for them to move over to crypto.
It's just the opposite too, Blood. They've only got ground to lose in what they've already achieved in the battlefield they've already been playing on, right? Their little financial theater, right, of war. They've only got ground to lose.
Exactly. Let's take a look at this last article, and this is out of NDTV. I like them on YouTube. They've been banned, like big time banned on YouTube, but they came about during the whole COVID, like in the middle of the COVID thing. They really got popular. I don't know if you follow them, Trekk, but they had an article about this whole Binance tweet or CZ tweet about him being poor again. I felt like this was tasteless, man.
That's an old ass picture, yo.
This one?
Yeah. You see what CZ look like now? CZ looked like he ran for the
Hollywood.
American presidency, bro.
That boy Hollywood now.
No. Look at CZ's last. If you ever look at, and when any of the American presidents go into office, they be looking one way, and then when they come out, a little bit thinner, a little bit more gray. Like, bruh, when Biden come out of this administration, he gonna be like a skeleton walking around with a big.
Come out of it.
I'm not
even gonna go there.
Hey,
I'm not even gonna go there.
So, all right, what did this article say? Because
he made a tweet, a comment about I'm poor now because of the whole Luna situation and them losing billions of dollars. And I don't know, maybe he had some of his own personal money in it. I'm not sure. But he said, I'm poor now, which I think was very tasteless. Seeing that he's still worth like 14 billion. And you have people.
Is that off of a tweet, or is that off of him saying it in an interview?
No, in a tweet. I believe it was in a tweet. Yeah, it was in a tweet.
Yeah, I feel like they left out some context to like, was it a thread or is it just a one tweet? Like, I'm poor, and arguably, I don't think CZ just randomly drops the post that he drops. I don't think he does personally. But for this, I don't know. Like,
so here's the thing: like, you could look at it like he was saying he's poor again, or is he talking about? I can never get this guy's name right, guys. I got a mental block. Doodoo Quan Doodoo. What's his name?
That's good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I don't know if he's
that way.
I don't know if he's he's pointing that to my man or what. What do you think?
Seth?
Probably, but I mean, maybe, I don't know. It's tough to say, man. Like, in either case, it is kind of in poor taste, right? Like, yeah, Do Kwon did kind of some messed up stuff. By my hands, DAI will die, right? Then, trying to get enragement marketing, right, going in his favor, like getting enragement equals engagement, using that formula, just getting people riled up. So it seems like, especially right now, all of the big founders are doing it, but we normally expect a little bit better from CZ if he's talking about Do Kwon. And if he's talking about himself, like you're saying, right, like, pinky raise up, I don't know. Is a mere $14 billion net worth? Is that a lot?
Right.
Am I because I feel like I'm poor. Oh no,
Yeah.
My vacation on the Hamptons will be canceled.
Yeah, I know when it was like initially starting the whole Luna unraveling, man, I was looking at all those tweets online. I was feeling sorry for people a little bit. Even the ones that put their life savings and they put everything in there, I still feel sorry for them. It may have been their first lesson learned. We all have to go through that. So, yeah, it's just crazy. A lot of people lost a lot of money, man. A lot of money. $43 billion worth of wealth. It didn't disappear. It's a transfer,
Yep.
right? It's a transfer. So who got that 43 billion is what I want to know.
And this
Trekk.
is why I say that the majority of the folks who are coming in now don't care about being their own bank because they don't want the downside. Like, they don't. And
So this was an equivalent to a bank run, right? Essentially in crypto. Whoever, it doesn't matter whatever conspiracy theories that we have about it, essentially, it was essentially a bank run in blockchain form, right? Should we run to the authorities? That's what's going to happen. Seth, what's the outcome? What's the fallout from this fallout? What is the outcome from this, from a regulatory standpoint? It can't be good.
Yeah, I don't like it. And that's why, jumping back in the conversation, that's why I with characters who are, again, there's some of the good ones in this space. They mean well, like Reggie. I don't want us to keep turning to the established system to try to get the state involved, because it just brings more regulation down on us while we're still trying to get some of this stuff really fixed. Because algo stables are hard, and even collateralized stables that use an algorithm with over collateralization ratios that are a little more sound, they're hard too. All of this stuff is hard. And the sooner we tell Uncle Sam, like, yeah, you know what we want you to do? We want you to tax our unrealized progress, right? Tax our unrealized progress. That's what regulation is a tax on unrealized progress, which will then turn into sustainable gains after that point. But I don't want it. I don't want to see it. I want to see protocols be as free and open as they can be for us to fix some of that stuff. And then, the long term, like the laggards who are going to get like whatever, they're going to put their money into something safe, and they're going to get the safe returns of 3 to 5% every year, like, or just below inflation or whatever in the future. Then Okay, too bad for them. It really is too bad because they weren't willing to take risk early on. But I would rather live with dangerous freedom and higher risk, higher reward. That's just me.
How do we keep it? How do we keep it that way?
We try not to encourage the regulation, and we try to encourage faster pace of innovation. And there are people, if we see people who we like, we get them connected with people who can get them pushed forward faster.
I'm with you on the Reggie tip. Like, he's calling the old regime, the old system in to help, you know, he's leveraging or leaning on that system. But at the end of the day, I don't know if I've ever heard Reggie say he's a evangelist for a full decentral. Well, he kind of did with his Veritasium project. He was like, you know, eliminate the middleman, but that was more on the market making side, not
So Veritas,
not the legal.
Make it real. Hey, Reggie, the minute you launch Veritas Dex and Veritas Chain, I am all in because you're the right guy.
Well, he can't
but
now.
The moment you keep saying
he can no longer touch any crypto from the suit that he.
See,
the
and
settlement
this is where that
SEC.
whole like crypto anarchist thing comes in, because it's like, all right, like a grown person just told you you can't do this type of business because it messes with my people over here, and I need them to stay where they at because it works out for me. Like, that's
so
basically what happened.
Yeah, so what does it mean when he falls back? It makes it look like Stockholm syndrome, right? It's like, well, I may as well fall in love with my captor, right? I can't work with the system, so I may as well, you know, ask him nicely to maybe help me earn something from the old system, instead of saying, no, the old system's broken. Let's try to slash and burn where necessary, and only build up what we have to. Right? Like, that's voluntarism. That's you know, libertarianism is not the same thing it was for all of us back in the day, but
right.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Well, good chat, man. Good chat with you fellas. I appreciate you coming on. Seth, man, any last words?
Oh, just I'm excited for us all actually getting to meet up in Austin. I apologize about not being there in Miami. We're making it right this time. Anybody in the audience who isn't planning on going or is sitting on the fence, the three of us are going to be there, confirmed for some dates.
Yeah.
So if you want to hang, right, like, just be there. It's not that hard. Plus, Austin is a very easy place to have fun in, and we're going to be having fun. So join us. That's what I got.
Trekk.
I haven't been down there in years, and I'm definitely looking forward to catching up with folks. And then just seeing who I bump across. So, you know.
Yeah, I actually never been to Austin, so this will be CB's first time hitting Austin. Hopefully, I have no run-ins with people that want to fight. You know,
don't have Rice with you, because you know we're Rice.
Yo, I forgot you were there with me. Rice is a real gangster, people. Just to let you know, he was ready to get busy with me and this dude. Oh, that was hilarious. Shout out to everybody in the chat room, though. Jay Church, Jay Crypto Minded, he's an OG. He's been in the chats for some years now, man. Milto, of course, LJ, Perspective from a G. Clark Crypto, new YouTube member. Thanks for joining, man. I'm gonna put you in the list for next week's giveaway. And yeah, I mean, pretty much that's it. That's it for us, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe. We out of here. Holla. All right, another episode under the belt, 77. If you guys watched to the end, kudos to you. Make sure you guys go support both Trekk and Mind Your Biz. Links in the description below. And, of course, subscribe to CBTV. Support the network. It's your boy Crypto Blood. I'm out of here. Holla! Shut the city down like a crypto crash. Stacking my coin.